Have you had a change of mind, therefore, about getting an independent Biafra? Because that's what I seem to be hearing.
No, I've not changed my mind. An independent Biafra means going back to the way we were before the white man came.
Okay, so you're not talking about a federation when you say a confederation. You're not talking about a federation as part of Nigeria. You're talking about total independence.
Absolute independence.
Complete independence. Now, is there anything that can happen that will make you change your mind about this particular direction?
No.
So it is either Biafra or nothing else?
Or death, yes.
Or death?
That's correct.
If push comes to shove,
yes.
Will you go to war?
No, because truth is a far more potent and deadlier weapon than bullets and mortars.
So truth. No war? You've ruled out the...
Absolutely, I don't believe in war. No war. When I say Biafra or death, I'll keep pushing. Either I am alive, I die in the process, I won't stop. Allow me to repeat, if you don't mind. Had sovereign national conference been convened by the powers that be, where every ethnic nation, I said every, I don't care if there are 600, I don't care. Everyone is...
All the 500 plus.
Everyone together to say, this is all, others can delegate, I don't know, powers to other people to attend on their behalf. Sit down to say, what type of country do we want? Sit down, discuss, agree. I can begin to perhaps submit to your position.
Is it too late?
It is way too late. They've killed too many people. They've ruined too many lives. They've wasted too many souls. How do we bring those people back?
If the federal government, given the agitation that is going on, becomes convinced that, you know what, these people have a point, it is time to actually address all these issues, and they begin to systematically address some of these issues, would you change your mind?
No, because of the deceptions of the past.
No trust?
No trust. Aburi was there, it was negotiated. Nothing happened, 1968, if I recall. And the confab report, what became of it? How about the 3 R's? Reconciliation, reconstruction, and heaven knows what else? What became of them? Nothing. Calabar Seaport is not working. Can you tell me why it's not working? The seaport, used by the colonial masters. Why is it not working today? How about Iguacha Seaport? Why is it not being used? Why not worry? Why must we allow only Lagos to function as a viable seaport? In England, where I used to live, you had Liverpool, you had the Sun, which is Portsmouth, Southampton, everywhere. You had harbours and ports. So why must you have only one?
Mayor says a skyscraper in Russia's...
It was a bolt out of the blue, a small aircraft set to be on a test flight that suddenly sent an eerie flash above and crashed, bursting into flames in the Oba Akre and Ikeja area of Lagos State today. In what could be described as an act of God, 2 people on board the aircraft were rescued following the crash, which occurred at about 3:30 p.m. and rushed to a military hospital. Other emergency responders from the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, as well as the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau, as well as the National Emergency Management.
Wherever you're watching from. Welcome to an episode of our newspaper review. If you're just coming across the channel for the first time, please don't forget to click the subscription button, turn on your notification bell, click on the like button, send in your super chat. Alright, so over to our newspaper review. Can Daily Trust newspaper today? UK announced €10 million facility to support food security in Nigeria. And still on the subsidy, marketers selling filling stations over Paul says. And 2 rescued as helicopter crashes into building in Lagos. Police on alert as Labour begins protest nationwide. Disperse anti-subsidy protests in Kano. Workers adamant in Oyo. Union insists on fuel subsidy. School fees reversal and others. We know they will listen to us. This coming from Gbajabila. Lagos fireworks as tribunal set to rule on Tinubu's election. I scored 25% in above half of FCT. This coming from Tinubu. However, part of electoral process, 355 billion naira spent on it. Article OB. Petitioners couldn't prove claim on electronic collation of results. This coming from INEC. Then over to the Nigeria Tribune newspaper. Military can't handle Nigerian problem. Can read that up on page 19. Nigeria must take concern on Niger Republic's matters. This coming from Oyebode. We hope democracy will be established without military intervention. That's from the UK Foreign Secretary. And Nigerians raise poser over Tinubu's relief package. Wants reduction in food prices. Speech commendable in tune with our request. Make importation of electric cars duty-free. IGP talks tough as NLC, TUC jail or protest. Again, government moves to avert protest. Labour says no going back protest commences 7:30 a.m. today nationwide. And Lagos transporters won't join. MC Oluomo. And that's all on page 5 of the Nigeria Tribune newspaper. And PEP's reserved judgment in article Obi's case. Freed Ondo kidnap victims. Our abductors collected 2.2 million naira ransom. Rice, cigarettes. That's all on page 23. Lift ban on forest supply to border communities. Senate tells federal government. And Senate screens El Rufai, Edo, Adelabo, Musawa, Dagiwa, and others. Uproar over petition against former Kaduna government. And fixed rates should settle at 700 naira to $1 as government eyes foreign equity investment. And there's a note underneath from Tao Amodu and Tajani Adeyemi Abuja. And that you can see on page 5. And on the Nation newspaper, Senate to revisit CBN Act says Apabo. Tribunal reserves judgment in article Obi petitions. Residents defy 2-week sit at home, call in Southeast. Oyo Labour Union locks secretariat for second day. And that's on page 26. How Tinubu will end electricity crisis by El Rufai. You can read that up on page 2 of the Nation newspaper. Haji warns against violence as Labour insists on protest. NLC seeks security cover for protesters. And jet crashes in Ikeja Major Road. Immigration arrests Cameroons seeking Nigeria passport. Into the Guardian newspaper. Danger averted as light aircraft on test run crashes on Lagos Road. Says at home enforcers killed 250 people in 2 years, says Ohaneze. Falana warns ECOWAS leaders against attacking Niger Republic. Can read that up on page 7. And still on the rising hardship, NLC defies trust, proceeds on nationwide protest. Consider FCT 37th Nigerian state for presidential poll, Tinubu begs court. Senate shares El-Rufai from petition over insecurity in Kaduna. Can read that up on page 3. And foreign investment in equities markets declined by 90.6% in 10 years. And over to the Vanguard newspaper. For scarcity triggers 21% fall in I&E turnover to $1.68 billion. And court grant Emefiele leave to serve DSS DG, order transferring him to prison after bail. And still from Tinubu, court reserves judgment on Atiku Obi's petitions. Junta-led Burkina Faso, Mali won against military intervention in Niger Republic. And Senate screened El-Rufai, Umahi, Edu, Adelabu, and others. NLC insists on protests as talks fall. So they still insist on protests as talks fail. IGP warns against violent protest. Federal government begs Labour to suspend protest. Labour says palliative not enough to cushion hardship. To brief organs on government plea to suspend protest. Algeria absent at meeting. TUC, civil society allies direct members to participate in protest. It's a police constitutional duty to protect Nigerians. Coming from NLC. Then on plane crash in Lagos, 4 persons rescued as plane crashes in Lagos. Benue announces 15,000 naira, 100,000 naira allowance for corps members, doctors. And still on the subsidy, leave ban on first supply to border communities. Senate tells federal government. And over to the Punch newspaper, Tinubu sends second ministerial list today. And direct interventions in power sector 8, 7 trillion naira is coming from the federal government, and that's on page 19. And on Niger, Russia, Burkina Faso, Mali oppose ECOWAS military intervention. Subsidy talks. Labour shunts federal government begins protest as oil workers down tools. And our federal government, NLC meeting deadlocked. Labour, PDP berate, and Tinubu propose pay rise. IG orders AIGs, CPS to maintain order, prevent violence. Falana says protest lawful. In federal government orders probed as test flight plane crashes on Lagos road. 500 illegal carrier operators under prosecution. This coming from InPost. Task force officer extorted 5,000 naira from motorist on Lagos Ibadan Expressway. And foreign trained doctors, mass failure worsen Nigerian manpower crisis. And that can be seen on page 3 of the Punch newspaper. And please, if you're just coming across this channel, do not forget to click the subscription button and turn on your notification bell so as to get notified whenever we live. And then I'll send the link just in a moment so you can join me here if you have any comments. So on the Daily Trust newspaper today, says troops destroy mall, IBOB, and ESC camps in Anambra. Imo Forest arrests 5, injures cause. And anxiety as tribunal reserves judgment. Councils to Tinubu, Atiku, Obi adopt final addresses. Heaven won't fall if I'm declared winner, PDP candidate tells court. And we've proved our case, says Labour Party lawyer. Nigerians' foreign reserves in their situation, Senate warns. And caution against further naira depreciation. And federal government spent over 3 trillion naira to save power sector from collapse. That's on page 2. And turbo jet crashes in major Lagos streets. No fatalities recorded. And Nigerians rescued in Brazil survived 14 days on a ship's rudder. No going back on nationwide protest, vows NLC. You can read that up on page 27 and page 28. Dismisses reports of shaving rally. No room for violent protest. IGP warns. Orders watertight security nationwide. Senate screens Edo, Umai, El-Rufai, and 11 other ministerial nominees on day 2. And that's you can see on page 28. Okay, so on the plane crash, so there was a panic on Tuesday in the Oba Accra area of Ikeja, Lagos State, as a light single-engine airplane burst into flames after crashing on the road. The crash happened opposite United Bank for Africa around 3:30 p.m. It was learned that only 2 persons, the pilot and the passenger, were on board. The Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau, while confirming the incident in a statement, said the aircraft Jabiru J430 with nationality and registration marks 5N CCQ, operated by Air First Hospitality and Tours, was on a test flight when the incident happened. The Director Public of Affairs and Consumer Protection NSIB Tuji Oketubi said the agency had commenced investigation into the accident. It was gathered that the crash sent the area into panic following the explosion as residents were seen running scatter as they scrambled for safety. A video of the incident that circulated online showed the aircraft crashing on the road and immediately bursting into flames. The Director, Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service, Margaret Adeseye, in a message to The Punch, said the crash occurred on Oba Akran Avenue, Ikeja, and no life was lost. 2 persons were rescued with varying degrees of injury. The Director General, Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, Dr. Olufemi Damilola Oke Osanyitolu, were in contacted about the crash, said the agency has activated its disaster response plan to the above incidents which occurred around 4 p.m. An eyewitness who spoke on condition of anonymity said a white Hilux vehicle escaped being involved in the crash by whiskers. He said the passengers in the craft were rescued. The Hilux was coming after the craft. It escaped crashing into the fire. Another source said the aircraft hit a pole and struggled in the air before bursting into flames. Speaking at the scene of the crash, the coordinator, Southwest Zonal Office of the National Emergency Management Agency, Ibrahim Fariloye, said it's a propeller engine. The search and the rescue retrieved some personal belongings of the two members. On his part, the State Commissioner of Police, Idowu Owuowa, who also visited the scene, described the situation as unfortunate, adding that policemen were immediately deployed to the scene as assist emergency responders. Ohuwa said, immediately we heard about the incident, we immediately deployed the police to the scene to coordinate with emergency correspondents. We succeeded in rescuing the two victims. It's a light single engine plane. The police recovered the engine and other items were fully secured and being processed to the Accident Investigation Bureau of the Airport Authority. A resident noted that a gas pipeline of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited passes through the area, saying the situation would have been very critical if the plane had hit the gas pipeline. The NSIB said the aircraft caught fire on impact, but the spread was contained by the rainfall at the time of impact, adding that the two souls on board were taken to the hospital. The NSIB hereby solicits information from the general public in the form of pictures, videos, or recording evidence to assist in conducting a comprehensive investigation. Meanwhile, the Lagos State Governor Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu visited the scene of the accident. The governor, who noted that the cause of the crash had yet to be known, commended residents of the area for their quick response, especially two young men whose names he gave as Oluwafemi and Opeyemi for coming out to rescue the two occupants of the aircraft. There was an unfortunate helicopter crash on Oba Accra Road, right in the middle of the road. It was a single engine helicopter that had two passengers on board. The two passengers on board have been rescued safely. They are currently at hospital and they are receiving treatment as we speak. We do not know the cause of the helicopter crash. That will be done by experts. That will be done by AIB, which is an investigative bureau. But we are thankful that we got a very quick response both from the Lagos State Emergency Agency and all you residents of the neighborhood. The crash site has been sealed off. All of the wreckage has been evacuated and they are in a truck right now and will be transported to the officially handed over to the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, where I'm sure extensive investigation will be done. That's from the governor of Lagos State. And thank God there are no death cases, and people involved in it are survivors. All right, thank you all for staying tuned with us. See you same time tomorrow. Do have a wonderful day.
That the endorsement of former President Matthew Aremu Okikiola Obasanjo